nowadays, in many countries, particularly the United States, politicians cannot get elected if they speak the truth to the people. That we need to raise revenue, for instance. And do you see that as a problem worldwide, or do you see it as something that is more particular to the U.S.?
Well, I wouldn't like to say what Mitterrand used to say at the end of his administration. I'm going to be the last president of France. Those that follow after me are going to be accountants. Because they will only talk about, increase the product, this and that, and the rate of interest, etc., and you need to have a balance, etc. Well, I wouldn't like to say that as strong as Mitterrand, of course, but I think that you are right in a sense that sometimes you have to tell the truth. I was in a cabinet meeting with President Frey, and Frey say, we have to close our coal minings. And whenever it's close to a coal mining, discover that it's part of the culture of that people. It's not only a job, because the father, the grandfather, and the grandfather, and they expect that the son, the grandson, and the grandson, all of them are going to keep in coal mining. And the decision that it was not impossible to maintain because they produced loss, it was a very difficult decision to take. But you have to explain to that people sometimes. Or you have to explain. I'll give you an example. I did a mistake. I put numbers in one of the promises that I made. And the first said that we say, never put numbers in a promise. Make the promise. I will create jobs. That's fine. but you don't put a number. Well, I put a number, and I say, given the size of Chile, was a big number, and I say, in my first year, I will have 200,000 jobs being created, and then 100 every year. Total, 6-year term, 700. Period. Okay. And in September, I was in power. I arrived power in March. In September, I discovered I was not going to fulfill that. I went to TV, and I explained, I'm going to fail. And I tried to explain. I wonder if people believe it or not. I think that at that time I thought that I was given very good reasons, But you have to explain that. And if you don't do that, then you are lost. And when you explain, the second way is you have to believe the explanation that you are giving, because that is the truth. You have to speak with the truth. If as an excuse, because you didn't do what you were supposed to do to create so many jobs, people will discover that you are not speaking with the truth. It's so important how much patience you put. And I always say, look, to be a leader, to be a president, a normal politician has to take care about the next election. A president has to look for what are going to be the needs of the country for the next generation. And that's different. And I understand. You are going to be measured for the result in the next parliamentary election. Like in this country, the midterm election, my goodness, the midterm election. But sometimes you have to take measures, even though you are going to lose the midterm election. The other thing that I guess is so important is that you have to make clear where you stand. It's true, every president would like to be the man or the woman of unity of all the country behind you, of course. After September 11, not only in America, but everybody in the world was a New Yorker. Of course, it's normal. And at that moment then, needless to say, President Bush has 85% of approval rate because the country has to be behind the leader. So unity is so important. But in some other moments, you have to draw the line between your convictions of what you want to do and those that in front of you don't agree with you, and then you have to fight. So it's different. It's difficult to say, When you are the president of unity, well, you have the aide-de-camp and all the pomp of power behind you. When you are the head of government, you have to go and fight. And this is very easy to say, very difficult to implement, to carry out. When is the moment to fight? When is the moment of unity? When you realize that unity is going to be impossible in this particular measure. Healthcare is going to be very difficult. It's going to be impossible that everybody agree. Therefore, if I do believe, I have to fight.